Hey everybody, this is John Hope Bryant, and I'm dealing with an interesting topic today. The real problem that Black America faces. So let's first of all talk about the brilliance. You know, Black people came to America, as slaves, but what nobody talks about is the fact that at that time, an agricultural economy was what was the main economy in the world, and where you get the best agricultural geniuses, you get them from Africa, right? Because we were experts in soil and land. To this day, it's the most untapped natural resource place in the world. And so, of course, that's where we came, the Middle Passage, a lot of lives were lost, and so on and so forth. So we get here, and we built basically the economy of the South. Railroads were worth $2.5 billion in its heyday. Slaves were worth $4 billion. So, the Civil War, I'll go into this in another post another time. The Civil War was economic. It wasn't about race. It wasn't about hating black people. It was about building an economy, on free labor, brilliant free labor. And in order to control 100 people on a plantation, when you have 10 workers with guns and they have to sleep at some point, you got to destroy the spirit of the workers. So when I talk about poverty, and I talk about it from non-financial terms, right? I talk about this in non-financial terms. And poverty has nothing to do with money. Half of poverty is low self-esteem and lack of confidence in yourself. Half. If you don't know who you are by 9 in the morning, by dinner time, somebody's going to tell you who you are. Then you got role modeling. You got environment. All right. So if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. All right. And then you've got hope. Aspiration. Aspiration is a code word for hope. The most dangerous person in the world is a person with no hope. And then you've got opportunity. And so if you have high self-esteem, so the opposite of poverty is wealth, of course. Wealth has nothing to do with money either, right? So if you have high self-esteem and high confidence, and if you don't have high self-esteem, but you have high confidence, you can fake self-esteem in the short term, right? And then you've got good role models and an enabling environment that gives you hope, right? So you see the glass of life as half full, not half empty. Very important. Now, hold on to that for a minute. That's wealth and that's poverty. Nothing to do with money. Zip, zero, nothing. There's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic. Being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit, and you must vow never to be poor again. Now, back to the plantation. So in order for them to control, again, this is not racial. I'm not playing racial games here. This was about bad capitalism and folks trying to build an economy on the back of human capital, abuse human capital. So in order to control the situation, they had to destroy your spirit. Otherwise, 100 big burly guys will overtake 10 dudes in daylight. Forget at nighttime when you're sleeping. So they rape your wife and what make you watch. They abuse your family. They disperse your family. They destroy your culture. They remove your language. But most of all, they destroy your self-esteem and your belief in yourself over time. It was systemic. Okay, so let's fast forward. By the way, the wealthiest state in America in 1830 was Mississippi. It was the Silicon Valley of that day, 1830. So again, none of this is racial. Don't get off on a racial tip. This is just the facts, okay? Because by the way, blacks also traded blacks in Africa. Black tribal leaders traded in slaves. So let's not get into a racial thing. Indians traded slaves, as in from India. Arabs traded slaves. Africans traded slaves. Europeans were, one of the most recent arrivals to the slave trading. They exported slaves. That was the big difference. Okay, so back to the story. So what's the point of all this? The point of all this is this. I watched a video today. By the way, we're brilliant. Black America brilliant. We've been doing so much with so little for so long, we can almost do anything with nothing. 70% of black households run by women today and doing an incredible job of it. My mother, independent black woman, single black woman, raised me, my sister Monty, my brother Donnie, and I think did a great job with the exception of me. But she's an incredible, Juanita Smith, incredible woman. You heard the story of the Freedmen's Bank I've told. 2 years from slavery, 2 years from after the Civil War, here we are with a Freedmen's Bank, and we put 73,000 depositors put $52 million in the bank. That's $100 billion today. And the bank failed not because black people were inept or stupid. The bank failed because Lincoln was killed and the guy who took over was a crook. I'll deal with that in another post another time. Frederick Douglass took over the bank, put $10,000 of his own money in it, which means he wasn't broke. That's $20 million today. He was a businessman who was about abolitionists, not an abolitionist. He was a businessman, owned property in Baltimore. All these stories we don't know. And a great prophet really of that time said the failure of the Freedmen's Bank did more to set free slaves back than 10 more years of slavery. Okay, but that's not what I'm talking about either. Those are all sub stories. I got a lot of in this series I'll cover in time. Here's what I'm talking about. I saw a video today. I'm not even going to tell you where it went because I don't want you to go see it. I saw a video today of two black bloggers going at it with each other. They made a lot of money in Atlanta, tearing people down, sharing in gossip, whatever. Now they're going at each other. Somebody, one of them leased a place to the other person, and the person trashed it, and the girl goes and does a video of her trashed apartment, Periscope of her trashed apartment, and trashing the guy's reputation with it. Then they get personal, and then he goes back and forth. And my thing is, why are we doing this? Why are we broadcasting our drama to the world? If you want the guy out of your apartment, take him to court, right? Evict him, right? What's wrong with you that you feel you need to share this with the world? Okay, so here's the answer. This brilliant people that I love, my people, amazing people, after 250 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, ending in my lifetime, 1970, not 1870, for those who say that we're just tripping and we're too sensitive. 1970, when you couldn't go to the same water fountain as a white person. 1960, if you want to be conservative and say that's absolutely the truth, in more than half the states of America. After 250 years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow and being told you aren't anything, you aren't valuable, you have no worth, you're just property, you're 2/3 of a person, whatever kind of crap that is. Ending in 1970, I think that 70% of black Americans are clinically undiagnosed depressed. I'm going to let that sit in for a moment. A quarter of the world population, if you want to make this a level playing field so nobody feels that I'm picking on my own people, a quarter of the world's population, so that the UN has mental illness, okay? All right, so a good portion of people are depressed anyway. But when mainstream America has a headache, black and brown folks have pneumonia. I am convinced now that 70% of black Americans, because of this experience, are clinically undiagnosed depressed, which explains everything. Voting. We basically vote when we're proud or we're pissed. I think we're going to come out and vote a lot in this current election because I think we're going to be pissed. When Obama won the first time, we were very proud. We came out in masses. But normal people just vote. Just vote. What's that Chris Rock? He's got this great comedy skit. And you guys know I'm doing this live, doing it myself because I'm messing with even the camera. Chris Rock has this great thing, and he talks about, brother says, well, I take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids. You don't get a cookie for that. You don't get an award for taking care of your kids. Oh, I ain't never been to jail. You're not supposed to go to jail. You don't get a bonus for not going to jail. This stuff that we see on reality TV, there's something wrong with it. This stuff that I just saw with the bloggers, there's something wrong with this, right? The stuff that we do in our neighborhoods and our communities, or don't do, there's something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with us. We're great people. We're God's child. We've been doing so much with so little for so long, we don't do anything with nothing. We should be in a loony bin, but we're not. And still we rise. But we have got to deal with our drama. We have got to deal with the reality of the situation, or it will never change. The most dangerous person you'll ever meet is a person with no hope. And oftentimes in my neighborhoods, the communities I serve, I'm not dealing with poor people economically. I'm not dealing with somebody who's got some situation of too much one thing to their money. No, they're depressed. They're angry. They get up and go, got up and went. The world's been unfair to them for a couple centuries, and it's like somebody coming back from war. But this is not a war of 18 months. This is like a war of 300 years, and they're affected by it. And that's why I think hope is so important. That's why I think that what we do is so important. I'm not crazy to think that I can eradicate poverty myself, right? But we can create a new trend line. Quincy Jones says it takes 20 years to change a culture. In the last 20 years, I'd argue we've made dumb sexy. We've dumbed down and celebrated it. And now we've got to make smart sex again. You know, there was a time, and I'm going to finish this, it's almost 10 minutes. There was a time when we wore suits all the time, early 20th century. You be a janitor, you wore a suit, and you went to school, 35 kids in the classroom, 5 kids acting like a knucklehead. You knew who they were, 30 kids wanted to learn. Now, go to a school, 30 kids acting like a knucklehead. Our schools, urban schools, black and brown schools, 5 kids ashamed to admit they want to learn because it's supposedly not cool. This is something wrong with this, and we can't say it's okay. We can't say it's cool. And this is not actively the white man or the racists doing this to us, right? The next video I'll talk about that we living in slavery today, and it has nothing to do with the obvious. The shackles are no longer on our arms and our legs; they're on our minds and our hearts, and that's worse. In that regard, they won, but we're going to win again because rainbows only follow storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. And God don't make dirt. And we're an amazing people. And and racism's stupid anyway, right? That's another session I'm going to do because 99% of all DNA is precisely the same. So we're arguing over stupid stuff, right? We need to get on with it. We need to take our lives back, and it starts with us being honest with ourselves. Okay, love you. I hope I didn't upset too many people, but if I did, oh well. Take care.